Today, I'm going to be talking about the effect of alcohol abuse of minors on future dependence. And this is on only kids in Virginia that we will be doing this study with. Now, I'm going to be looking at how teen drinking trends have changed over the last 10 years. Well, however long I have with the data that I had to work with, which is about 12 years. But yeah, 12 years. And I'll be looking at two terms. Alcohol abuse at a young age is defined as someone who has had 5 or more drinks on the same occasion the past 30 days. So basically just someone who has binge drank at all in the past 30 days. And then a alcohol dependent person would be someone that is harming their health with their consumption. And again, I am using data just from the state of Virginia over these past 12 years. After I look at this data from the past 12 years of abuse by minors, I'm going to cross-reference that data with the dependence data to see if there are any correlations to that use and future dependence. And that dependence data will be taken from 18 to 24-year-old individuals. So in this project, drug use was abstracted into a drug report, which had a lot of different data of different drugs. And I chose to use alcohol as my main proponent, which I wanted to study. And I filtered that down to get down to the Virginia level. So I was only working with Virginia data, and then I just went from there and went into the totals dictionary to get my dependence from the past year data, which I will then cross-reference with the abuse data that is an integer property in minors dictionary, which tells us the amount of minors that have abused alcohol for that year. And for that one, that data is shown taking data from 12-year-olds to 20-year-olds. So here's my data map. I probably put more on there than was needed, but I just wanted to explain the whole part of every dictionary that I was pulling from. And so the green parts are what I am pulling from. The string of the state and then the alcohol key from that dictionary from totals goes down to the two points that I'll be cross-referencing. So I had some problems with this data. First of all, it was a good enough window to get the gist of alcohol use and to get some valid data, but I would have wanted a larger time window if I could have chosen that. Also, I originally wanted to look at the two different kinds of data in two different temporal formats. I wanted to look at the abuse of minors from 2002 to 2007, and then the dependence data from 2007 to 2012, so that I could possibly be looking at a smaller target sample group, which would have given me more accurate data because it might have been looking at the people who were growing up and were actually in both data sets. So it just would have been a nice snapshot of how certain kids in those 5 years grew up and were actually affected. But I have to be satisfied with what I have because I have to work with the data. Also, there were just possibly some inconsistencies with data collection procedures. Like we'll see later, but there is a large drop off in um, one of in the line graph in the next few slides. So we'll see how that could potentially be an explanation for that. So my first question is pretty simple, is just what is the trend of alcohol abuse in minors in Virginia? And again, it's taken from 12 to 20-year-old individuals in Virginia. So in this line graph, it shows a drastic dip of abuse at around 2009. That is a little bit misleading, that graph, because the minimum value set in the graph is 12,000, which is a bit misleading because it makes it look like the abuse was going steadily up and up and up until 2009 and then went up down to almost zero, which is not the case. It went from around 19,000 down to 12,500. So it still is a large dip, which is significant, but is a little bit misleading. So now I'm just going to cross-reference that data with the dependence data and see if there is any correlation between past alcohol use as a minor and future dependence as a young adult. So scatter plot shows the relationship between the total number of alcohol abuse minors and total individuals dependent on alcohol from individuals aged 18 to 25. So as you can see here, my theory is that the top dots up in the top middle and top right were all showing the part from the line graph in my earlier slide where the dependence was going up and up and up, and then something happened in 2009, and those points are the lower points, the lower 4 points there, from 2009 through 2013. And I'm not sure what happened, but it looks like it affected the correlative impacts of early alcohol abuse, which is good. It's a good thing. And yeah, that's about all that I can pull away from that because I have no idea what happened in 2009. There are a lot of stakeholders that could benefit from seeing data like this and possibly looking into what happened in 2009 to break that chain of early abuse and dependence. So we're just going to go down the list. Pretty much anybody who drinks alcohol is affected because it would just affect their perception. Alcohol awareness groups can use this data to inform minors of the perils. It's a very obvious application. Schools could do similar stuff with this information in health and wellness classes. Parents could use this information just to inform their children. I'm sure they already are, but could always help to use some more information. Police could use this information to maybe redouble efforts of cracking down on underage drinking. And the big one for me is alcohol corporations could use this information negatively and positively. And we'll talk about that more on the next slide. In terms of social impacts, the United States has obviously been seen as the gluttons of the world. We're known to be known for binge drinking, and that has come out to be a huge health risk and proven many times, which is scary because then we get to the ethical considerations, and unfortunately these large corporations spend billions of dollars to convince you that this is the drug of choice to make you relax. It's what you're supposed to use to socialize, and they spend lots of money to make people buy their products and advertise on TV, which lots of parents end up having football on, and that turns into kids seeing lots and lots of these beer commercials where everybody's having fun, and it almost targets youth, and it actually absolutely targets youth in some ways. So it's just um, sad the way that these corporations continue to spread this narrative that the health risks are not something to worry about when um, it's been proven time and again that the dependence data is pretty scary. So there should be something done about that, and I think my data proves that. So here are my resources and my honor code. I did not receive help on this.